Hi, I'm Justin. I'm going to change out my water pump, and this asshole is making a seesaw for his dog.
Huh?
Yeah. I just replaced the radiator, so now I need to replace the water pump again. I feel like I just did this. Or maybe I never have. So you need to take the fan shroud off, and you need to take the fan off, and something else. Oh! You need to take this belt off. Get this thing off.
Tips on how to do that at all.
And then what you want to do is you want to loosen two of these bolts. I have this one and that one. Then you're going to grab something like this and you're going to wedge it between those two bolts. And then you're going to take something like this, or the proper sized box end wrench or a crescent wrench or something like that, and you're going to grab this thing, and while bracing the other thing at the same time, you're going to boop, break that loose. You're probably going to need the help of a friend. By the way, this is normally threaded, so if you figure out which way the engine spins, that's the way you need to spin the nut. Okay, we need to take this thing off. Fan's out. Shroud is around here somewhere. Oh, what do I do with the shroud? Anyway, next up is these fucking things. Take all four of these guys off. Take this belt off. You take the belt off. You have this thing off. You're going to need to loosen these bolts. And then you have to remove a pulley that was right here, which I have lost already. Oh, no, here it is. This pulley that sits right here, that needs to come out. So you can get access to this point here, which follows this pipe up, goes to here, disconnect this, disconnect here, and then your water pump can come out. Fun. Once you have all 5 bolts out of the water pump, you've disconnected that hose, disconnected this hose, you can now take the water pump out. And the way you do that, you take the water pump out. That didn't work. You pry on it with something. Take one of these, carefully pry on it so you don't break something else. And then it leaks a little. And then it leaks a lot. But thankfully you have a bucket underneath to catch a portion of it. Then you look at the thing and it actually looks like it's in pretty good condition. It also looks like, oh, you know what, maybe from underneath here it was definitely leaking somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where on here. And I just lost a ring somewhere. So, next step is going to be take this thing off, because you need to put this on your other one. And then on this one, you have to take the brand new one and return it, because a plastic impeller is just going to disintegrate and then pieces are going to fly through your engine and get stuck. So you want a metal impeller. So I'm going to return this and I'll be back to work on this thing later. But for now, this is where we are. So, went to the parts store, got new parts. At this point, the sun's gone down. I've got some lights here, so I can still see what the hell I'm doing, mostly. And you can kind of see who I am, I think. Alright. I'm going to show you these. Here's the box. This is the cheaper one. This one has a 1-year warranty on it. Looks basically the same as the other one. However, this is a metal impeller as opposed to the plastic one. Here's my old one. That's a big old impeller. This one's actually metal as well. If you look, you can see like the casting marks in it. This one, we'll see. We'll see how this all works out. But hopefully it will work out well. Aside from that, I also picked up some gasket stuff, and I'm going to change out the thermostat gasket because the other one's made out of a gearbox. Alright, let's get back into this. Have a razor blade and clean the surface of this. Oh, as best as possible. Try to keep the stuff out of your radiator or out of your block. But the cleaner the surface, the better the seal. The better the seal, the less likely it is going to leak later on. I'm not going to make you guys watch this whole thing, but because I cleaned off this gasket surface and get this thing out so I can clean it a little bit better. Gotta disconnect this guy. You have to undo these bolts. You probably have to disconnect this stuff, but I think I can get away with not because there's nothing in this area. And I should be able to just pull this out of the way. This part's disconnected. So I can always just fold it up out of the way to get to what I need to get to. First, I need to take these off. As you can see, it's already starting to come loose. So there's one. And that one's a short one. Put these someplace right here. And let's take a look inside here. And it looks like the gasket might have failed. But that's why I have a new one. So, flip this guy over. Everything looks nice and clean though. I just need to clean off this gasket. This was a beer box that we cut to fit. Looked pretty good when I did it. But now I've got a professional cut one. You see how that one holds better. You look at the thermostat. We actually, the thing my friends and I do is we'll drill a hole in the very top. That's not a stock thing in the thermostats. Well, actually, if you look, you can actually see that we kind of, you put that at the very top, and that allows water to flow before the thermostat opens, which is helpful for getting things moving. And yeah, you put that at the very top. It lets the air out, basically. Gives a little bit of flow through. Alright, back to cleaning this gasket. Got the thermostat off, cleaned it off. Clean it a little bit more, a little bit of paper. There. Clean it up just a little bit more, but that's off now. I was able to get down here, clean this out a little bit more. Trying to dry up around here a little bit for the new seal. So if I dry up over here, get the new seal set up. I'll put the water pump in first, and then I'll put the thermostat in second. This way I'll have more space to work. Hopefully that'll work out pretty well. Try not to bang this thing up. I've got some dings in it. Kind of messes with the airflow, but as long as you don't hit the vertical tubes too hard, they shouldn't leak. Here's the new water pump. Alright, it sits this way. I'll turn it this way for the moment. Here's the new gasket. I'm going to figure out how this matches up. That doesn't look right, so go like that. And voila. All the holes line up. That's good to go. You're going to want to put some of this crap on here, which I really like. And we also have to remember to put on this thing. So this has a tapered fitting which goes right into here, and you want it to be facing back this way because it actually sits that way and it connects into your heater hoses. So I'm going to do that now. After test fitting and adjusting this thing, I've put the gaskets on. There's a little bit of gasket maker to tack up the whole thing. You want to put like an even coat all the way around on both sides of it. So right now the gasket's actually kind of stuck to the water pump housing. Then you want to carefully line it up, push it on there. I've already dried off down there. So now we test fit it. Try to keep this clean. And water pump's going in. Water pump is on, tightened down. I tightened all 5 bolts. You want to do them hand tight to, I'm sure there's a torque spec for it, but I just use a small ratchet so I can't get too much torque on it. Tighten it till it stops, and then give it a little bit of a tug, and that's good. Make sure you have the hose clamp on your hose. Make sure it gets on there all nice and snug. Make sure this is past, you can see the edge of the thing right there, so you want to make sure it's on all the way. Just put it somewhere in the center. And tighten that thing down. This thing is pointing exactly where it needs to be. Once everything's installed, there's a nice gap. That's going to go to the hose that's coming forward. I also have to find the little clip for that. It's my old thermostat. It's totally fine. It's the one with the hole drilled in it. Hole facing up. So this goes in and the gasket goes over it. So I can actually put this in now. I hope that it just stays there. This is the new gasket. Usually with these new gaskets, they're all like, don't put anything on it, it should be fine. But just like the other gasket, I'm just going to put a light layer of Right Stuff, not a sponsor, on here. And if you're wondering for this truck, this is part number, I guess it's 35630. It's a Felpro. I got this over at O'Reilly's and it was like $6. So totally worth it. I'm gonna put some Right Stuff on here. This was like $14, and put that on there. And I've cleaned off the other side of my thermostat. So just press that thing right on there, bolt it down. I still have my 2 bolts sitting up here in my bolt tray. These are the fan shroud bits, and here we go. Alright, so water pump's in, thermostat's put back on, 2 bolts. So the other one's right down here. I feel like it's nicely sealed on there. It's hard to see from here. But there she is. All the way around, everything's sealed. That, if you look real close, you can see that it's squeezed out a little bit of the Permatex Right Stuff, which means that it's nice and tight. I have this guy hooked back on. I still need to hook this thing back on. I put this on, but I don't know what I did with the, oh, here it is. Put this guy right back on here. You can feel for the end of the thing. Basically put it right back where I found it. Tighten that guy down. Here's the hose. Let's move some stuff around here. Here's the hose. It goes on there. If I put that on, I need to find this thing, which I will slide onto here so I don't lose it. Move this out of the way now. And then slide it all the way on. So now this thing is on all the way. You take this guy, squeeze it with your fingers, or not. You don't need pliers. But basically, that clip, this clip, then it's put the belt back on. Hopefully remember how to do it, because I have this thing, it's a little bit different than the normal belt thing, but you can look it up what yours is going to be. Well, it seems to be moving nice enough. I might have to change this soon. I don't know. This is my power steering. Feels a little loose, but No, no. It's like if you can get it pushing, pumping. Actually pumping, power steering, hydraulic fluid. Fun. Alright. And that's my boost. Alright, moving right along. And don't forget this guy. Otherwise, the engine won't know how hot it is. Alright, now I'm at the belt stage. I was thinking to myself, why do I have so much belt? It's because I forgot one of my idler pulleys. Let's double check everything. 2 bolts in here. 5 volts in the water pump. Lower hose connected, upper hose connected. Put the clamp on the heater hose pointing in the right direction. Belt on. Idler pulley on. This water pump pulley is on. These 4 bolts, tighten them down really good. I'm going to get some anti-seize, throw it on this guy. And then it's basically fan and fan shroud. And then you can fill this baby up. I don't know if you can see inside there. Alright, so I forgot. I gotta take this thing off in order to get this thing in, otherwise it doesn't fit. So, off with this guy. Push him out of the way. And then, look at that. And I can just drop the fan right in, hopefully. Alright, that worked pretty smoothly. You just kind of put them together, drop them in, get it on, get these threads started. And then, it just kind of screws itself on. I've got anti-seize on there. So you kind of keep going until the nut stops spinning. Almost there. And then see how now the nut isn't spinning. So I'm going to throw a wrench on there. Just make it just tight enough that it's not going to, when the motor stops, the momentum of this, which isn't all that much, isn't going to loosen it up. But the overall work of the engine as it turns and it's fighting this fan and the fan's fighting the air should keep it tight. Which is why it's not reverse threaded. This thing just goes on normally. So that's the truck. This way tightens. Alright, almost there. Fan shroud next. Alright, so always the last bolt, or at least one bolt somewhere in the mix. So this thing right here for the fan shroud. Actually, I don't need this extension anymore. But if you notice, there's a bolt here. Alright, I don't know if you can see that, but this rivet nut, or whatever the fuck you call this, that's part of the radiator, is spinning. So, easiest fix for that, temporarily, so you can get someone who can tack that, is a small pair of vice grips. These don't need to go on super tight. They do need to be tight enough. There we go. They're not going to fall off. And yeah, and then you just tighten it on and you're good to go. And right now, I think that's the last bit here. I need to throw the reservoir back in, which is over here. And throw that right inside here, plug that in, plug this hose back onto here for like the 4th time. And then add some fluid and start her up and see if she explodes. Alright, looks like I got everything back together. All the hoses, everything. Basically I just got to fill it back up. I'm going to use a little bit of this water wetter, use some water and a small amount of actual coolant, because here in Hawaii you really don't need that much coolant, you just need rust control. Speaking of rust control, this is my old water pump. And if you notice, it doesn't really have any rust on it. Normally, water pumps are about as rusty as the front of this thing is. But internally, and if you look back on the video, internally there's no real rust, because we did a treatment about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago, that took all the rust out, flushed the whole thing. It's a non-hazardous, non-acid wash. Can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a soap and it actually breaks up all the rust. If you look, you can kind of see the pitting of where the rust used to be in here. There's all kinds of texture to this. It looks like a nice cast steel, but there's actually a lot of rust inside here. You can kind of almost see a little bit of rust right inside here, but it's basically just black. And so is the inside. And if you look inside here, which you can't really see, that's nice and clean, no rust. And it's all thanks to that one treatment we did. So here's the treatment we did. It's a vapor rust. It's super safe, as it says right there. It's a non-toxic, biodegradable, safe on skin and eyes, reusable. It's basically a soap. So if you find some of this stuff, what we ended up doing was adding a bunch to all of our trucks. This was used on the XJ, so we actually have leftovers, which you can use into the next vehicle. But you take it and add it to your radiator and let it sit for a while. We were using stuff like this, Osfo and other things, but they're super, here's the other stuff we were using, Acid Magic. They're super corrosive, and this stuff is completely harmless to the aluminum and the different metals. So, and it's better for the environment. So, try that stuff out.